another exciting episode of Explore Richland. I'm your host, Mark Ingham. Well, today we are exploring at the historic Uptown Shopping Center, but it's not the eclectic mix of shops that has our attention today, rather the sound of beautiful music. You hear that? It's a sound that Richland residents are becoming more accustomed to hearing: live public music in open spaces. I'd like to welcome to the program the two ladies responsible for this effort. Both are with the Tri-Cities Painted Piano Project. On the keys, Carissa Jones is the co-director of the program, and on vocals, Cynthia Vaughn is the founder and the co-director. Thank you both for joining us today.
Great to be here.
Well, Cynthia, how did the vision for the Tri-Cities Painted Piano Project begin?
Well, I moved to Richland, Washington 3 years ago from Colorado. And when I lived in Colorado, I loved playing the painted pianos in downtown Fort Collins, Colorado, where I lived, and also downtown Denver. And so I just thought this would be a really fun project for Tri-Cities. Carissa was familiar with the Portland painted pianos. They're also in Seattle, New York, Boston. And we thought, well, if the big cities can have something cool like this, why can't Tri-Cities? And so that's really how it got started.
Oh, that's great to hear. And you know, what I love, the pianos, they don't just sound great, but they also look great as well. And I love the concept of merging the two forms of art, paint and music. So for you, how did that, combination come about?
Well, I think once upon a time, every house, every home had a piano. Everybody played piano. And just like now, every house has a computer and every house has a TV. But what's happened is a lot of these pianos from the 1950s and 60s and even older, grandma's older piano from the early 1900s, I call them sad brown pianos. And a lot of these pianos are sitting in basements, church basements, homes, the corner of the living room, and no one really plays them. So I love the idea of repurposing these old pianos, and even Carissa and I never knew quite what the finished art project was going to look like. It's very important to match the piano with the location, with the artist. And in the case of the Kagan's piano, the Uptown is like 1950s, 1960s. So this is like a 1960s Kimball piano, and the artwork matches the Uptown. And the piano bench is full of sheet music from the 1950s, the 1960s, the 1970s. And so that's another part that might be a little bit different than what some of the painted pianos projects do. I grew up playing the music in my grandma's piano bench, and so I just think every piano in our project needs to have music in the piano bench.
Well, Cynthia, what is the mission of the Tri-Cities Painted Piano Project? What are you hoping to provide the community through this effort?
Well, our mission is repurposing old pianos as public art and playable musical instruments for the joy and beauty of the community.
All right. And there are two pianos located here in the Uptown Shopping Center. The one that we were just at Kagan Crepes, and the one we are heading to now located at the Caterpillar Cafe.
Right.
How many pianos do you have currently in the Tri-Cities, and what's the goal for a number in the future?
We never set a specific goal, but it has really taken off. Okay. I honestly thought maybe we'd have 3 painted pianos in Tri-Cities by the end of the summer. And we actually have 9 that are either complete or in progress. And we've got maybe another 4 or 5 that people are talking to us about installing in the fall, indoor pianos. But of the 9 pianos that are in progress, 6 of them are right here in Richland.
Wow, that's amazing. Well done. Well, the Painted Piano Project recently became a 501(c)(3) not-for-profit organization. And public and private participation, is key. It's very important for the success of this program. So how can people become involved with your group?
Well, the very best way that people can become involved is to go find the pianos and play them. That's the number one thing. But then if there are people that want to help out in another way, there is a link on our Facebook page to this form that we created called 88 Keys, because there's 88 keys on a piano. So we're looking for 88 or more key partners
Well, we have arrived at the Caterpillar Cafe, home of the second public piano installation here in the Uptown Shopping Center. Now, this piano certainly has its own unique feel, and paint job to it. Maybe talk a little bit about it.
Well, the artist Michael Nemo was a former employee here at the Adventures Underground, and he had started painting this piano, I think, in his free time, and then he never had a chance to finish it. So he was thrilled to have an opportunity to come back and paint this. And as I said, each piano has to fit the vibe of the location it's going to be. And so here we are in the middle of a vinyl record store and coffee shop. And so when you look at the piano, he's painted some of his favorite musical artists. We did ask him, and he said that's a representation of David Bowie on the left there from his last album. And we've got Lana Del Rey and Tom Waits over there with the balloons, I think. Wow. And it's a really cool artist concept, and the gold with the drippy paint. And there's a cool story about the top of the piano, but we'll tell you that in a minute.
Wow, it's a beautiful piano. Well, Cynthia, the last question I wanted to ask you was, I want you to share like a few moments you've had with these pianos. Maybe, just you're driving by the Uptown and you see something, but what are some moments you've had that said, man, this has made this project worth it?
Literally every time I drive by the Kagan's piano at the Uptown Outdoors, almost every single time there is someone playing the piano. And it's really attracted families with young children. And in fact, some of the parents have said, wow, I think we should get piano lessons for our children, which as music teachers, we like hearing that. One of my favorite stories is I can't visit that piano without sitting down and playing something. And I remember I was playing the Yellow Rose of Texas out of the 50s songbook. And I just heard this really sweet voice behind me, just singing to the song, and I was just playing it. And I turned around, and there was an older woman there who it just wasn't what I was expecting, and she looked like life had not been too kind to her, but I could see the girl in her face as she started just singing the old songs, and I just sat and listened to her story about how she grew up here and in Richland, and she'd been in the Navy, and she'd sung with the big band in the Navy, so she had been a real singer. And this just took her back to her being a young woman again, and I just kind of teared up listening to her story. But one of the coolest things that's happened has to do with this piano and has to do with Carissa. We had done an interview with the Tri-City Herald, and just at the end of it, Carissa said, "Oh, do you mind if I play a little bit?" So Carissa started playing Debussy, Du Arabesque. I just remember that. And she started playing this beautiful, ethereal Debussy piece. And the artist, Michael Nemo, just grabbed a tube of paint and a brush. And while she was playing, he went over and he started brushing paint, doing the artwork on top of the piano.
Oh, wow.
And it was just so organic, and it was just really exciting.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing those magical stories with us. And I'd like to thank Cynthia Vaughn for coming on the program, and Carissa Jones for coming on the program and joining me on this edition of Explore Richland. You can find more information on the Tri-Cities Painted Piano Project by visiting their Facebook page, which you can easily find by looking at the link below. And I need to remind you to interact with the City of Richland on our social media platforms. Log on and give us a like on YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Well, I'm Mark Ingham. Thanks for joining me on this edition of Explore Richland. Now, originally, Carissa was going to take us away with a sweet serenade, but she's conned me into trying to play the piano as well, so here we go. Ready?
Yeah. You got it.
Wow.
Nice job.
Thank you.
It was
Thank
nice
you.
to